And we are live. So welcome to today's episode of Ask Karen. So this is where I get to interview some of our either their members or show hosts, podcast hosts, and they get an opportunity to share a little bit about what they do, who they help, and maybe if we have time, a little bit of their story. So today we've not just got one, but two, because these ladies are a team. Awakening the Wise Woman. Sounds a little bit curious, right? So Erin and Ellie, let's start with you. Ellie, if you could share with the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ellie Bell, and I am one half of Awakening the Wise Woman, which is a collaboration between me, and I am an empowerment coach, and my fabulous business partner, Erin, who is a spiritual mentor and all things woo. So basically, I do the human side of life, I suppose, is probably the easiest way to describe how we sort of split what we do, but we actually both do a bit of everything. And I'm hugely passionate about helping women become more confident, be braver, be bolder, and just be able to let go of all the societal conditioning that has been holding them back, keeping them small, so that they can show up and be fabulous in their careers, in their businesses, in their families, just generally in life, because I absolutely believe women are the change the world needs, and we have a responsibility to stand up and be counted and do our thing. And we're all about helping women do that, I guess, is in a nutshell.
Fantastic. So I love what you just said there. You do the human part.
Yeah.
So Erin,
Yes.
man, you've got something to share with the world here. If you could share a little bit more about what part of that woo-woo is it that you do?
Yeah. Well, I obviously am the other half of Awakening the Wise Woman. My name is Erin Hodgson. And as Ellie said, she's the human half. I'm the, for want of a better way of framing it, the spiritual side. So I'm a psychic medium. So I do, I talk to dead people, and I do some energy work, and I do some connecting with guides and all of that beautiful stuff. I do, some past life work, all of that kind of thing as well. So lots of different sort of spiritual and energetic work, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And, I too am passionate about all of the things that Ellie described as well. I come from quite a different perspective to Ellie. In lots of ways, actually. And that was one of the things that struck us when we first met, was that we are two halves of the same coin. Ellie is, she comes from that human side, although she is more woo than she will admit out loud, I think. And she has two daughters who she wants to change the world for. I have two sons. And so I want to change the world for them. But I also want to change the world with them. I want them to be advocates for raising the voices of women and creating a space where, the world is better for everybody. And so, I think that's part of what created this collaboration in a lot of ways, was that we immediately recognized that together we were far more powerful than we could be apart. And it's a really beautiful thing to be able to work with someone that you admire. And I admire Ellie more than words can describe. So here we are.
Awesome. I love the fact that it is, because it is all about balance. And I don't even like using the word woo-woo myself, because I quite often say that, that it is a woo-woo. We just dress it up as the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, but it is all about us all finding balance. And it seems to me that the way we have been conditioned is that we've sort of forgotten that part, or we've been conditioned to not trust our intuition, not talk about the woo-woo and focus on the mental and the physical. Is that what you found? I mean, I know you two are both the other side of the planet to me. You're over in New Zealand, but is that the sort of the same thing that you have found?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm originally from the UK, so I've sort of split the two quite nicely. But I think you're absolutely right. One of the challenges I really feel we're facing at the moment is, for so long, everything has been based on what can you prove, what can you see? And intuition isn't something you can just see, and you can't, I mean, once you get used to using it and once you get used to relying on it, it becomes much more real and much more tangible. But actually, in the first instance, it isn't something that you can, absolutely show to anybody else. It's learning to really trust yourself and know yourself deeply. And we haven't been taught to do that. We haven't been taught to understand our emotions. We haven't been taught to realize that our thoughts aren't all of who we are. We haven't been taught about these hidden depths that we have, and that's what has to change. And as Erin said, I have two young daughters, a 5.5 and a 3-year-old, and things have to be different for them. I don't want them growing up in the world that I grew up with, where women, even in current times, we're in 2022 and women are still not being treated equally. There are still massive injustices happening a lot to huge swathes of people, and it's just not right. It's not okay anymore. And if I can make one little step forward to make a change, then that's what I'm here to do. And I'm just lucky enough to have somebody who can stand alongside me, help me, walk with me, guide me, show me the way when I'm struggling. And that makes it all better. Honestly, having a business partner that I can do this work with has changed everything for me, because it means I get to be braver, because I've got someone standing next to me saying, you can do this. And that's what we offer the people that we work with, is that opportunity to have people who will stand alongside you when it gets scary, when it gets hard, when it gets nerve-wracking, to just say, all right, you got this, you can do it. And it honestly, it changes everything. So I really believe that we've got to be okay with doing things differently, and accepting the things we can't see and know to be true. We've just got to start trusting.
And you don't have to, I love that, you don't have to do it by yourself. We think that just because we're in business, but you don't have to be alone, because that is when the doubt and the fear and the worry can creep in without us sort of noticing. So Erin, I mean, how can you share a little bit of your story here? Have you always been really connected with source and talking to dead people? I love that.
No, actually, not at all. I grew up in a very standard sort of household. Mum and a dad and brother and a sister and myself, and we lived in small town New Zealand for pretty much my entire life. And I think, like, I grew up with an understanding of there's something else, but it wasn't ever talked about or nurtured or discussed. And reflecting now, I know that there were things that I did and saw and felt and experienced that weren't of this world, or weren't human, or weren't normal. But I very much shut it down. And it wasn't until I was in my late 30s, actually, that I discovered that I even had any psychic mediumship gifts. And so that was quite a, people talk about spiritual awakenings. I mean, that was like the rudest awakening in the world, because I went from kind of not really, like, I'd navigated my way to my own understanding of what happens when we die and that sort of stuff. And then I got told, no, you can do all of these amazing things. And I was like, okay, sure. But it was like someone opened the floodgate and it all flooded in, and I had no control over it. And it was, something that was deeply uncomfortable, and I didn't have a lot of support around me and that sort of thing. And so it felt really, people talk about the crumbling. Well, that was kind of what was happening there. It was like everything that I'd created in my own mind and in my life that sort of felt steady suddenly disappeared. And I was kind of left hanging, going, I'm not sure what's happening here. So it was very much a case of navigating, my own understanding of what was happening for me, but also what that meant around what I understand the world to be, and humans to be, and all of that beautiful stuff. But I've managed to get myself, with no small part played by Ellie, like, she's been a massive part of me finding comfort in what I'm capable of and what I can do and what that allows me to help people with. And so it's, it is a really beautiful thing to be able to communicate with people's loved ones in spirit and to connect people with their ancestors and, even just provide support and love when people are going through some of the hardest times of their lives is a really beautiful thing. And so I'm very fortunate to be in that place, but it hasn't always felt that way. And it's still a relatively recent development. I mean, I'm only 40 now, so it's really only been the last couple of years that has kind of come forward and been part of my life, and openly probably only for 8 months, 9 months maybe. I didn't even tell my wife about it until just before Christmas. So, it's very much something that I've had to really find my feet in, I guess.
Right. And how do you think, what is the outcome then that your clients in particular are going to gain from working with both of you, with both your different sort of skill sets, with different tools in your toolbox? There's got to be, there's got to be something that's going to be quite different to working with others, I would presume.
Yeah. I think I'll speak very briefly and then I'm going to hand over to Erin because she describes this really beautifully. I think what we offer that is so different is the fact that you're dealing with two people and we are the two sides of the same coin. So we have different approaches, but we have the same beliefs and the same values and the same deep understanding and need to change the way people see themselves, and we're able to do it with different ways but kind of at the same time. So we always talk about it that I sort of, like I said, I do the human side, so I really look at everything that's happened to you during your human existence. So what are those beliefs that you've been carrying around with you? What are the things that you've been believing to be true? What are the values that are in place? What's the societal conditioning that's impacted on how you show up? All of those things and lots more we sort of dive into and uncover and understand. And then Erin comes in and just adds this like extra depth to it that takes it to a whole different level. And honestly, the transformations that our clients are getting, we are literally blown away by it almost on a daily basis because it's such a deep transformation going on those two levels. Erin,
imagine.
Yeah.
Erin.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds like, you can do the super, the strategy, there's things on that level, but if you don't dig deeper, it makes sense that you're covering the whole spectrum now.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the four aspects of our whole wellness, which is, the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I think any woman, especially who is honest with herself, will know that that's never really been in balance. It's very, very rare that you would come across someone who firmly believes that they have had all four balanced well in their lives. And so for us, obviously the mental and emotional work, especially that Ellie does, is just incredible. Like, she's a phenomenal coach, and by herself got phenomenal results for her clients. So then to come in alongside her and say, okay, well, let's connect you to the energy of the universe. And, we dive into things like astrology and natural cycles and those sorts of more sort of physical things, the energy of the universe. And then we bring in the spiritual stuff, the, connecting with your guides, and how do I receive intuitive guidance, and how does that look for me? And what does it feel like in my body when I'm in alignment with myself, and all of that sort of stuff. It changes the way that you see yourself in every aspect of your life. It changes your relationships. It changes the way you do your work. It changes the way you parent. It changes how you show up for yourself. And, I think that's probably the best part about what we do, is when we see the women that we're working with suddenly step up for themselves and own their own power and return themselves to a state of being connected to who they are and why they're here and what they want in the world. like there's nothing more rewarding than that for me. And I think Ellie feels exactly the same. And so, you know, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. And it is like, it's just this crazy little marriage of everything woo and everything wise all coming together. And yeah, it's just a really, really phenomenal thing to be a part of.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
I love
I'm
it.
really excited to have you guys on board with our thing. So to the listeners out
Thanks.
there, Erin and Ellie are joining us. You'll be able to find out more information on the directory when it launches on the 1st of October. But they will also be having their own show. So you'll be able to hear a little bit more about what these guys are up to. So can you share with the audience? Well, for one, are you going to tell them what the show is going to be called, or are we going to leave that surprise?
I'm not saying anything. If Ellie wants to share, totally fine.
So we are calling our show The Journey with Ellie and Erin, because that's what we know that we're all on. It's not about it's about exploring all of the aspects that we carry along our journey, and we're going to be interviewing incredible women to share how they've got to where they are. We're all about the one thing that really sort of sums up how we work with other people in terms of building business and growing is we don't believe in growing our share of the pie. We want to grow the whole pie. So we are about getting everybody. We're elevating voices. We're creating collaborations. We're providing opportunity for other people to share their stories, because that's what we believe is going to change everything. So if we can just do our little bit and grow our little pie a bit bigger, then everybody can benefit from it. So we are super excited, and we're spending loads of time today doing some work around it, which was heaps of fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm just loving it. I'm just loving having these conversations, really, to see what everybody is doing. It is brilliant, and that is just exactly what I suppose this whole process really is about. So for the members out there, I know we do these short little interviews, but also as a slight training. Do you have any question that maybe you have found that your clients quite often ask relating to building their business online?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions that comes up from clients, and also probably for us, is how do you keep that consistency going? Like when it does get that little bit harder, when you hit a little bit of a roadblock, how do you push through that and know that you're still on the right path without sort of suddenly being like, you know, the flashing objects syndrome, where it's like, well, that's maybe not, oh, maybe I'll look over here, and then maybe I'll look over here.
And yeah, we all do it, right? We all do it. And well, I think my answer to that probably has changed fairly recently, because I mean, as you ladies probably know, that I come from a very physical background. So I would have said, yes, you've got to push through, and you've got to try and do this and this and this. And now I'm like, maybe I'm going more into Erin's world. I'm actually like, stop.
Yeah.
Actually stop. And maybe go within, and I seem to be saying this every single day now, because I do feel like I finally got it, is that practice your unthinking. If you've come up against a roadblock, or you have sort of lost your mojo, lost your sort of and you are a little bit indecisive, ask yourself, which means not even necessarily meditating as in going to sleep, but actually practice your unthinking. Ask yourself the question, and the answer, I believe, will just actually come up the more you do this, because we're all going to come up against this. And we might be, when you say like, yeah, if we want to push through, there's resistance. We actually don't want to come up against resistance, do we? We actually want to flow. So it might be a bit of a reminder to stop and go within and ask yourself the question as to what is it then, what do I need to do next? What is it the most important thing that I need to do now? And learn to trust what comes up. Really, and there you go. That's where my advice, I definitely think, has sort of changed, because I would have been, you know, strategy. Well, you've got to be doing this. Have you checked off your to-do list today? Well, if there's resistance, I've realised that no, that's that's forcing, and it actually can be a lot easier than maybe we have thought it's supposed to be. It doesn't have to be the hard grind that we've been conditioned to believe that that's what you've got to do. You've got to work hard to get anywhere. So actually, maybe it's time to stop for a moment.
I love it. Yeah, that feminine flow, right? Like just allowing and stopping that masculine push.
Yeah. And I would say I would very much, I'm quite a masculine sort of person, really. I would be about, you got to push through, you got to push. Why? Yeah, I realise, oh my goodness, I've been getting it so wrong. Yeah, I love that. Go back into the actual feminine and chill.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, love it.
But great question. I'm so excited to have you two on board. Ever since I connected with Erin, I knew there was something special. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys are going to be doing. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And to the rest of you, we'll be back with another Ask Karen.